To share briefly with you a journey that God has been taking me on. It started 2 years ago, but it's taken some really interesting twists and turns. And I want to just preface this story by saying each one of us has issues like this in our lives. The issue I'm going to share with you may not be your issue, but don't get stuck on the issue. Focus on the process here. This 2-year journey started about 2 years ago when I was browsing on Facebook, and I noticed that a friend of my daughter's had posted some pictures and from a school event. And I thought, oh, well, I'll take a look and see what they've been doing. I hadn't been in touch with my daughter for a few days, so I thought it'd be kind of fun just to see what they were up to. It was a fall festival or something like that. And one of the pictures I looked at, I was kind of startled by. And the first thought that came to my mind was, my, that young man, who clearly is a visitor because it was a real conservative Christian college, has more tattoos than I've ever seen in my life. And that's because I was looking at the arm on this picture, and then as my eyes went up to the face, I saw the face of my own daughter. Now, the last time I had seen my daughter, she didn't have any tattoos. And the last time we'd had any conversation about tattoos, she had said she would never get one. Now, let me just say right here, tattoos is a matter of personal preference for me. It's not a matter of moral or anything like that. But I come from a very conservative background. And this is part of what God's been revealing to me over the last couple of years, in which there were those kind of people and there were our kind of people. And there was this distinct delineation between them. And I saw that picture, and I at that point, well, like minutes earlier would have told you I was a very loving mother, that I was very accepting, that my daughter and I had an amazing relationship. In fact, we do. My daughter considers me her best friend. I don't know how this happened. With the relationship I don't have with my mom and never really did have. I mean, God worked things out, but it was never close. You know, even once I learned to understand and accept her love, we didn't wear matchy-matchy outfits together, or go shopping together, anything like that. It never developed to that point. So here I had this incredibly close relationship with my daughter, and when I saw that picture, my heart froze. And I discovered that I had made a gentleman's bet with God that I was totally unaware of. And it had been made years earlier where I had made an agreement with him. He clearly had not made it back with me. But I had told him there were some places that I just would not go as a parent. And tattoos was on that list. And I was furious. I was furious with my daughter. I was furious with God. And I was like, that's it. No way. No daughter of mine. But I also didn't want to mess up this relationship I had with my daughter. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, when my husband sees this, when her father sees this, he's going to hit the roof. He's German. And those of you who know anything about Germans know what that means. And if you don't, go see me later and I'll tell you. And the journey that God has taken me on over the last couple of years, the first thing I did was pretty good. I did nothing. I didn't call her. I didn't text her. I didn't hit the roof. What I really wanted to do was go and get her and drag her to some clinic to have them all removed. And unfortunately, I didn't do that. And I started processing it with friends and people who prayed with me and for me, because what bothered me more than the tattoos was what was happening inside me. And I realized, wow, I'm having this strong of a reaction, and I'm so angry at her for something that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with me. And so, long story short, I processed it without her, and then we started having discussions about it together. And I thought I was doing okay, but I told her, please just keep them covered up. It would just make life easier for me. And so I thought we were kind of at a good, as long as she was in the house, she kept her covered up, and that was okay. And, I was doing okay. And then earlier this spring, I realized I'm not okay. I'm not making any progress. I'm just still pretending it isn't happening. I'm still doing what my mom did. I'm still doing what happened in my house growing up. We just don't talk about it. It's not happening. It's not real. And it'll go away on its own, right? And then, she won't be one of those kind of people anymore. And so I started to blog. And the title of the blog series is How to Love Your Daughter When You Hate Her Tattoos. And I had her permission to do it. And the first time I put it out there, I said, I need help, because my heart is still half frozen on this, and I don't understand it. I don't know what's happening. I don't know why. I just know that I'm being incredibly judgmental about somebody that I claim to love. The other title I considered is When You Find Out You Don't Know Jack Diddly Squat About Love. Because that's what I felt. I felt like I was loving when she was cute and did what I wanted, and suddenly when she was doing something I didn't want her to do, I couldn't love her anymore. And that drove me crazy, because that wasn't right. That's not real love. I got on my first blog post 10,000 words of comments. And some of them were angry. Some of them were people who were very judgmental towards me. And I'm like, okay, Lord, if this is what I need to hear, I'm going to hear it. If this is what it feels like to somebody who has tattoos. And I got amazing input. And I got amazing, that okay, it's very different than it was in the 60s and 70s and that sort of thing. And started having discussions with people. And people encouraged me, ask what they mean. And I'm like, oh, you mean I can talk to her about them? I've been refusing to talk talk to her about them, because if I don't talk about it, they're not real, remember? No, that's not true either, okay? And what I realized through the assistance of other people and God working on my heart, I realized two things. The first thing that I realized, remember that gentleman's bed I made with God? There are some places as a parent that I shouldn't have to go. I realized that there is no place love won't go. Yeah. There is no place love won't go. And so to have this idea that there's a list of if or there's a line that if my child crosses over that line, I'm done as a parent, was incredibly immature of me. And then the other thing I realized is that there's an actual word for what I was experiencing. And when I realized what it was, I was devastated, but it was something I needed to know because it was a direct result of perfectionism. I realized that perfectionism leads to prejudice. What I was experiencing was prejudice. I was judging. I was judging my own daughter because she looked like one of them. Who's one of them? What is that anyways? Where did that even come from? And I started realizing it came from, and I'm not going to name any particular family members, but I remember hearing one family member say things like, oh, she'd be a pretty girl if she wasn't so fat. Or, well, you know, if only she hadn't married outside of her race, she could be happier with the child she's carrying, she's holding in her arms. And these were attitudes from people I loved, and I didn't realize that I had them in my heart and that they were seeping out. And I had to face the ugliness of my own heart and realize I think I know how to love. I really don't know how to love. And so I've been working and praying, and I felt like I'd made some progress this summer because I was at a restaurant and the server who came had 2 full sleeve, see, I got the lingo, full sleeve tattoos. And my first thought was, oh, she's just like my daughter, she must be wonderful. Yeah. And then I realized I'd never thought that about anybody with tattoos before. Which means I walked by people who are children of God and ignored them because they weren't like me. Like being me is so amazing that everybody should want to be like me. Yeah, look at behind me. There's no line of people wanting to be just like me. And so it has been a hard journey, but it has been an incredible, incredible journey to realize, oh my goodness, I had no idea I was so close-minded. I had no idea I really didn't know how to love. And my daughter has been amazingly patient through the whole thing. She's been incredible to allow me to blog it publicly and get comments back publicly. What has been interesting to me is the number of people who are pro-tattoos have commented on my blog, and the number of women who struggle have emailed me privately because they're worried they're going to get blasted by the commenters on my blog. And it's a discussion we need to have. That those of us who are still growing, we need help from those who are a few steps ahead of us. Because I don't mean this as an excuse, but I really didn't mean to be that judgmental. I just didn't recognize it. And once I recognized it, and Anne-Marie has been gracious with me and said, Mom, at least you're trying. At least you're growing. At least you're pushing yourself. And that's been really, really valuable. The other thing I've come to the point now is I look at her and I don't see them now. And for me, I thought that was going to be my goal. I told God I wanted to work on this until I could get to the point that I could look at my daughter and see only who He sees. See nothing else, just who He sees. And so I thought I had reached, that success when I looked at her and I was no longer seeing, because originally for the months and months and months, I saw them as neon signs saying, you're a failure as a mother, everybody's talking about you, what kind of teacher are you, what kind of pastor's wife are you? And they don't actually say that. Tattoos don't speak. Discovered that too. But what I realized is, no, I need to be able to see her and the tattoos. They're important to her. She's designed every single one of them. She's an artist. I need to be able to look at her and see the tattoos and see them in the same way. And I don't know, did I mention the nose ring and the eyebrow piercing and the thing here and the thing here and the cartilage piercings? Yeah, I'm working on those as well. This is what happens when your daughter starts out as an artist and moves forward very artistically. And I have not yet had the courage to talk to her about her tattoos. I'm coming close, but I realized the thing I need to do first. And I was hoping to report that I had actually done this, but I got too sick and I didn't want to do it while I was sick. But I've actually bought myself a couple of temporary tattoos. And because I thought, I need to try them on and see what would it feel like. And I chose them carefully. One of them says brave and the other's a hummingbird. And as I chose it, I got all choked up because I thought this is so meaningful to me. Is this what it was like for her? Oh, wow, there's just so much I don't get here. And so I want to wear them and see what's going to put them on my wrists so that I can see them as I'm active and see and just feel the experience of having them on. And then I want to ask her about hers and listen to the stories behind them.